This morning, for the first time, I had a very interesting vision, which I'll share with you again. I dreamt I was somewhere in an open field. Beautiful field. There was a lake nearby, trees, a forest. And I was sitting under a tree in this open field. And I had on the orange garb of a renunciate. I must have been Buddhist. All of a sudden, hundreds of bodhisattvas and mahasattvas come from the forest and start walking toward me. And they all sit down in a semicircle around me in meditation. And I wondered what I was doing. Then I realized that I'd become the Buddha. And we all sat in the silence for about 3 hours. Then one of the bodhisattvas got up and asked a question. He said, "Master, what is your teaching?" It was not in English. I don't know what language he spoke. But I understood quite clearly. And without hesitation I said, "I teach self-realization of noble wisdom." And he sat down. We sat for about another 3 hours in silence. And then another bodhisattva got up and asked the question, "Master, how can you tell when one is close to self-realization? How can you tell one is about to become self-realized? How does one tell?" And this is what I'd like to discuss today. How can we tell if we're on the path correctly? I gave 4 principles, which I really never do in the waking state. I never have a teaching. So I was giving a teaching, so I'll share it with you. I explained 4 principles where you know that you're close to self-realization. Of course, we're all self-realized already. Principle number 1. You have a feeling, a complete understanding that everything you see, everything in the universe, in the world, emanates from your mind. In other words, you feel this. You do not have to think about it or try to bring it on. It comes by itself. It becomes a part of you. The realization that everything that you see, the universe, people, worms, insects, the mineral kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, your body, your mind, everything that appears is a manifestation of your mind. You have to have that feeling, that deep understanding, without trying to. So you ask yourself, what do I think about all day long? Of course, if you fear something, if you worry, if you believe something is wrong somewhere, if you think you're suffering from lack or limitation or sickness or anything, then you're out of it completely. Because you're not understanding that all these things are simply a manifestation of your own mind. The second principle I explained to the Bodhisattvas was this. You have to have a strong feeling, a deep realization that you are unborn. You are not born. You do not experience a life, and you do not disappear. You do not die. You are not born, you have no life, and you do not die. You have to feel this, that you are of the unborn. Do you realize what this means? There is no cause for your existence. There is no cause for your suffering. There is no cause for your problems. You exist as I am. You have always existed and will always exist. You exist as pure intelligence, as absolute reality. That is your true nature. You exist as Sat Chit Ananda. You exist as bliss consciousness. But you do not exist as the body. You do not exist as person, place, or thing. Do you feel that? If you have a strong feeling about that, then you're close to self-realization. Principle number 3. You are aware and you have a deep understanding of the egolessness of all things. That everything has no ego. I'm not only speaking of sentient beings. I'm speaking of the mineral kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom. Nothing has an ego. There is no ego. And do you realize what this means? It means that everything is sacred. Everything is God. Only when the ego comes does God disappear, which we call God. Everything becomes God. You have reverence for everything. When there is no ego, you have reverence for everyone and everything. So you have to be aware of the egolessness of all things. Animals have no ego, minerals have no ego, vegetables have no ego, and humans have no ego. There's no cause, so there can't be an effect. There's only divine consciousness. And everything becomes divine consciousness. Principle number 4 is simply this. You have a deep conviction, a deep understanding, a deep feeling of what self-realization of noble wisdom really is. What is self-realization of noble wisdom to you? You can never know by trying to find out what it is, because it's absolute reality. You can only know by finding out what it is not. So you say, it is not my body, it is not my mind, it is not my organs, it is not my thoughts, it is not my world, it is not my universe, it is not the animals or the trees or the moon or the sun or the stars. It is not any of those things. When you've gone through everything and there's nothing left, that's what it is. Nothing. Emptiness. Nirvana. Ultimate oneness. Anyway, I explained these four principles to all the bodhisattvas and all the mahasattvas. And then we sat 3 hours of meditation. And they got up and walked back into the forest. And there was a flash of light. And I opened my eyes.